for Crown Castle, and we're the leading provider of shared communications infrastructure in the United States, with 40,000 towers, 70,000 small cells on air or under contract, and 80,000 route miles of fiber. Although I predominantly practice in the utility space, many of the best practices I'll be talking about apply equally to telecoms and municipal relationships. We teamed up with Southern Company and came up with a number of best practices that we can use to promote understanding and positive relationships with one another, knowing that we're going to be sharing this space. So there's three main categories of best practices I'll speak to. The first are joint practices, then some telecom practices and utility practices. The first, I think, most fundamentally, is the joint practice of cooperation. Electric utilities are charged with the delivery of safe and reliable electricity to customers. And so we all have to work together to bring these goals to life, especially in climates like we have now. Second is conveying our expectations. A lot of the time, although telecoms don't have perfect insight into what utilities for joint use or power demands may be forthcoming, our early and frequent communication of our expectations and updates will assist those utilities and, say, municipalities with staffing challenges that may come up. And then additionally, the ability to plan and come up with additional resources where either a utility or a municipality is resource constrained, to devote significant, staffing and whatnot to other projects will greatly benefit both parties in the longer run. Another issue that we come up against and that we want to really engage in is clarity. And so pole owners and jurisdictions, we're hoping that, as well as telecommunications providers, are clear about what it is they intend to achieve, and then what are the utilities standards? What are the municipalities' processes? What are timelines for processing applications for fiber, for small cells, so on and so forth. So if those standards and those processes aren't already easily findable, searchable, they should be made accessible and should be subject only to change with some kind of due process. So additionally, telecoms should be providing appropriate information to utilities. So for instance, information about our equipment. Our configurations change often based on technology. So making sure that is effectively communicated. Also, safety information, so clear information on RF exposure limits, distances, power levels, and so on and so forth, both at the general population level and then at the utility worker level. Going on to telecom practices, making sure that if you need space on a pole, for instance, or you need space in conduit, you're assuring that that electric utility or that municipality that you do in fact need that space, and you're not blanketing with types of applications. Although we don't engage in this type of practice, I think others in the industry do sometimes, and it ends up being really taxing on resources of municipal and utility partners. And then additionally, limiting points of contact. A lot of telecoms will utilize contractors in association with their internal employees in order to either gain the insights that they need or gain the authorizations that they need. Limiting those points of contact makes things a lot easier. And then building the specifications, doing what we say we're going to do is huge. And then utility practices, keep being flexible with us. We really appreciate it. It's how we end up implementing things like new technologies that have benefits for all. Reasonable costs are really important to us, making sure that the costs are reflective of what's actually being undertaken. And then essentially one other item is aligning your processes. So when we're deploying on utility infrastructure, say, if there is a way to sort of synthesize or align the time of power delivery with what we're doing to attach infrastructure to that utility infrastructure, that's extremely helpful for us so that there's no sort of lag time.